Say, man, you're in a privileged position right now. You're in a place to be. Matter of fact, a place to G with the one and only S&OOP.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm your host, TKB. We are here with the second annual Bushleague Sports Fantasy Tournament. We got 6 communities going tonight. We're drafting with Vayner Sports Pass Community. Shouts to the 12 members of the community that signed up, join this league tonight. It's going to be a fun draft. I'm going to be hosting it. We have Michael joining us from the VSP team, as well as a couple other members of the community. And we're just going to get right into it today. We're going to bring up the boys, bring up the draft, and get her all rocking and rolling here. So give me a second to bring everybody up and say hi, and we'll get moving in a minute here.
What's going on? Good to hear from you.
How's it going? How's it going today, brother?
Doing good on this Saturday night. This would be my first draft of the season, actually. Got my dynasty tomorrow and some guillotine stuff, but...
Oh, press the wrong button.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Cool. Obviously, it was cool to connect with you out at VCon there a couple weeks ago, and nice to sit down and get a draft going. And shouts to Talton. He's one of the, I would say, bigger holders of VSPs in the community. So thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate the first pick.
Yeah. No, I did give it to you. The luck of the draw. They must have known that you've been a big supporter for a while and donated a couple tokens, so that the tech was like, we got to give this guy pick number 1 out.
I appreciate it, man.
Sweet. Well, we'll be drafting a 12-team just redraft league, a normal roster: 1 QB, 2 RBs, 2 wide rights, a flex, tight end, and 6 bench spots. With the kickers and the defense, I know, Michael, you wanted to get rid of the kickers and defense. I don't blame you. It can be a little annoying sometimes, but I try to set the rules up a little different, where kickers actually get docked negative for missing point, PATs and a few other things. So hopefully it'll be just as entertaining as any other league with, hopefully not too many kickers winning the weeks for anybody.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm of the opinion that in all my fantasy leagues over the last few years, I've gotten rid of all kickers and defense. I think it's just a extra spot for people just to draft, and it's tough to set those. There's such wild cards, and sometimes they could have, I think, too much of an effect on the weekly matchup. So
for
sure,
sure,
it takes away a little bit more skill when you start to include these wild cards in it. But that's just my opinion. And I know some people think that there is a lot of skill involved with the kickers and the defense, so I respect it.
Yeah, it's 50-50. I mean, sometimes you'll see guys chasing, say you're playing the Panthers. Well, then they'll be trying to chase the team that's playing the Panthers or stuff. There is definitely a little bit of maybe some skill, or the people who pick the right team would say skill. A lot of luck of the draw for sure, especially if you get a kicker that goes for 20 points or something. But it's luck of the draw. That's fantasy. If you're not happy or mad about something, what the heck fun was it for the week?
Yeah, for sure. I think because sometimes the waivers have a big part of it, right? It's all right, the insert random team is playing the Panthers. No one has that defense. The guy on the way who has the first waiver wire happens to get that defense for the week. For
sure. Well, we may as well fire it up, and then we can get chatting while we're drafting away. I know there's a few people waiting in the room. There's all kinds of guys. Shouts to Big E and Hosp and everybody else that's joining us. Obviously, Big E donated a jersey as well for a prize this year, so I'm stoked about that. And thanks to you guys for all the prizes. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I'm going to start the draft, and Talton, you're number 1 on the clock. I think I got an idea who you're going to pick. We'll see.
Draft has begun.
JT too. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you.
I mean,
CMC.
I didn't have a choice.
This one's going to be a little different. Usually in the drafts, I'm drafting as well, so I'm kind of going back and forth between them. But this year, I'm not in any of the other community drafts. Just my own, so I get to kind of kick back, host, and harass everybody a little bit, make fun of their picks. See if we get anything a little out of character on the way here. But so far, straight McCaffrey, Lamb, Hill, 1, 2, 3. Nothing too crazy there. CD Lamb really skyrocketed up last year heavily, and we'll see if Dak and him can keep it going this year. I know that I just did a draft a little earlier, and well, maybe I shouldn't give away too many secrets, but Brandon Cooks went really, really late, and I think that's something people might be sleeping on a little bit. He had some like 30, 20-point games last season. So
TKB, refresh my memory. Cooks is still on the Cowboys?
Yeah, he is. I would say they're wide right too this year.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Him and the tight end Ferguson were doing well last year.
Yeah, for sure. I think Jamar Chase, love to see it. I'm surprised to see maybe Chase or Lamb going ahead of someone like Justin Jefferson myself, but at the same time, Justin Jefferson, who's going to be throwing him the ball this year, right? JJ McCarthy, season-ending injury before it even gets going. You hate to see that, but that's the life of football.
I'm doing a little bit of a homegrown pick, but I don't think it's as homegrown as people say. I know Justin Jefferson is technically the top pick here to take.
But we're getting Wilson, or what are we getting?
I'm getting my guy Brees, man. I think Brees is going to be an absolute beast this year with Rodgers. Even with the awful quarterback team that they had last year, he was still able to produce. Even more so with Rodgers. He's like one of the few bell cow backs in the NFL where he truly has this backfield, I think, to himself in the just like catching all the stuff. I know Braylon Allen's there as the rookie, but I think Brees is going to absolutely destroy this year.
Yeah, and I was surprised to see them not like when they took but when they put Dalvin Cook on the team last year, really just do absolutely nothing with him. He was an all-star on the Vikings, and I was expecting a bit more, but Brees was he carried the weight, especially with them losing Rodgers 3 plays into the season and running with a lower quarterback than what you hoped. We'll see if Rodgers can get it rocking this year or not and stay healthy for the season. But, you never know. Maybe he went on like an ayahuasca trip or something. He'll be coming in MVP mode like the last few times. I was watching one of his interviews, and he was like, well, everybody was at first razzing me, but both times I did it, I was MVP. So I don't know. I think I know what I'm up to. So who knows? Maybe he did a little brain searching in the off season.
4 plays, but who's counting? And listen, last year, Brees wasn't even supposed to be good. He's coming off his ACL. Usually running backs take a full year really to recover from that. They usually have a down season. The only other running back to really have an incredible season after post-ACL, TKB, you know who it was?
I should, but no, it's not coming to mind off the top of my mind, no. Adrian
Peterson had his best year post-ACL.
That's fair. AP is obviously just a legend of the game, and had put in he won a lot of fantasy seasons for a lot of guys, that's for sure.
Yeah. Breece Hall, I think, had an Adrian Peterson type comeback from that ACL. 1 year extra removed from it. I think he's going to be a beast this year. Hoping the Jets could do the same also. I actually have the Jets-Giants preseason game up here also, just watching some of the roster bubble guys fight for their last spots.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see some of the battles in preseason camp, and some battles that are really undefined, like looking for the backup quarterback in Arizona. I know like Clayton Tune and Ritter going at it, and they're both throwing picks, and so you're like, I don't really know. But Talton's in our dynasty league with us, so we're always kind of searching for those backup guys and trying to be ahead of it. So this time of year, you learn a lot and try to get an edge on some of your opponents in those dynasty leagues. But some places answers, some places not so much. But obviously, taking Breece Hall, you got to keep it homegrown. Obviously, over at Vayner Sports, you guys are a big fan of the Jets, so it'd probably be a shame if you came out without one of them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love Dynasty, man. You really feel like a true general manager with some of the decisions that you're making with like the draft picks and the rookie ones. I know I have like a Dynasty draft tomorrow. I have some drafts, some possible trades that I'm looking to do, but yeah, Dynasty is incredible.
Yeah, no, it's fun. And I know I switched a lot of my leagues over to Sleeper quite a few years back. I know Yahoo Sports pushed an update here this year. I'm going to draft the league later this evening with Ryan Spoon and some of the people from VCon. So I look forward to seeing what updates they've had. But Sleeper's a really, to me, the best for Dynasty League. It has the most options for commissioners, and you can really literally do anything you want. I'm not sure what one you're using for yours, but I've just found as a commissioner, any option I want is there, and it makes my life really, really easy. And draft pick trading, everything that keeps a perfect league history year to year, and it's been pretty fun for sure.
Yeah. I'll give a big shout out to Sleeper, man. Sleeper really does it right.
Yeah, no, I really hope, and I've been razzing them for a while, that we can get hockey going on Sleeper eventually, because there's not really same thing. I do still use Yahoo all the time for our fantasy hockey leagues, but there's a feature or two that again I'll see when I get setting it all up this year if some of it's updated, but some of it's a little ancient. Like I have to literally go in, set the keepers manually myself based on what people pick and stuff, and it doesn't really like auto populate it, which can be a little annoying at times. You got to kind of go back, search through, see what's going on. So I definitely look forward to seeing what updates they push this year. But Sleeper's been pretty proactive in trying to change the game of fantasy for sure.
Yeah, and they have an incredible social media team. I don't know if you've been following like some of the stuff that they do there, but man, it's hilarious.
Yes. For sure. Who knows? I'm trying to work my way into the ranks, so we'll see. We'll see if a guy could get working with them one day. That'd be something that I would be super honored to be able to do. Looking at Big E on the tail end, grabbing Garrett Wilson. So we got the other jet that's going high, and it's been interesting to see Rogers going so late in drafts. Being that we got two jets going round one, you would think maybe you would expect the quarterback's going to be feeding them a little to make that happen. But see how she goes. But your pick's coming up. But first round, pretty standard. What you would expect. I don't think anything too out of the ordinary there. McCaffrey first, Lamb, Hill second, third, and then Jamar Chase, St. Brown. You took Breece Hall, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Bijan Robinson, who's going to be probably the other workhorse like Breece Hall. He's one of the few guys who I think is going to have that full workload. And then Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, and Garrett Wilson, the other jet, to close out round one.
Kyron and Marvin Harrison, going in the second round. I guess that's been the norm, but a rookie wide receiver on the team, like that's for an unproven receiver to go consistently in the second round in fantasy is pretty interesting. When you say, I mean, like it happens with running backs all the time, right? Bijan was a first round pick last year and all that, but wide receivers, I feel like they take a little bit longer.
Yeah, it depends. I know like Marvin Harrison is probably one of the most highly touted non-QB prospects to come into the league in quite a while, like, especially at the wide receiver position. I think he's, even more highly touted than guys like Jamar Chase, who came in with a big name behind him. They say that Marvin Harrison has got even more skill and even more bag. And just the fact that he is like the surefire wide rate one. Mm-hmm. And if Kyler Murray gets back to his Kyler Murray form, I know he was injured last year and didn't get to play till halfway through the season. But if we get Kyler Murray playing at full potential, he's going to have a lot of volume, I think. So it
for sure
pays to play, I guess.
I snagged Devontae just now. I think Gardner Minshew is going to help him out a lot more, like much more than Aiden O'Connell was through the end of the season. I feel like Minshew's that veteran that's just going to feed his guy, and then who knows? Maybe by the deadline he comes over to the Jets. Him and Rodgers do a little reunion, and they cook there as well.
Yeah, no, it'll be good to see. Obviously, he's one of the best wide receivers in the game. I know I was looking, I was listening to an interview with him, and he had told the Green Bay Packers, like, whether Aaron Rodgers is staying or not, I'd like to get a deal done. And they kind of sent him a pretty embarrassing offer. And it would be cool if he was still there with Jordan Love, because Jordan Love would, he's coming into himself and he could use a receiver like that at the helm. But the Minshew mustache is there's a thing of beauty. So that'll be running around Vegas. They'll have that up on billboards and they'll max that out, I'm sure.
His energy, man. He's great.
People who aren't, it should, I think it'll put everybody to auto draft there, Mike. I just seen your message.
Instead of waiting a full minute, just like have them pick instantly.
The people that I didn't see, did it go through it? I was chatting with you. If it did, I'll make it move it a little faster, but it should normally, once they set it, switch them to auto pick, it should do it instantly. But if it doesn't, I'll click through and help speed it up.
Should be good. Yeah. Looks like most people are here.
Yeah,
I see auto on Ron and John.
I'm just gonna send a message in the league here quick and tell anybody if they want to join the stream, feel free. But I know obviously one of the big things that's gonna come out of this year or that came here is Laporta's big move and getting drafted in the second round, maybe a little sooner than I would have thought, but Detroit is just like an animal on offense, and obviously St. Brown, Laporta, Gibbs, all going within 1, 2, 3, all three of their top positions. It's going to be interesting to see if they can keep it moving like they did last year. I really wanted to see them make the Super Bowl. I don't know if it just I wanted to see Taylor Swift versus Eminem. Let's go to the big leagues, but we didn't quite get that showdown.
For sure. I think as a Jets fan who's been through a lot of pain and suffering from a football standpoint, I empathize with the Lions, and I was definitely rooting for them to make that Super Bowl. But they had that meltdown. That Jahmyr Gibbs fumble was huge. Obviously, the fourth down calling towards the end of the game, that was a crazy game.
Nice. Well, now we've seen the second round wrap up. Started with Big E taking Derrick Henry. I was after the Baltimore Ravens maybe have two of the best running backs in the league on their team in Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry.
Yeah, man. I mean, we'll see if Henry's still got the wheels on them. I feel like it's pretty common where a running back goes to a new team and they don't really perform well. I'm thinking like Le'Veon Bell from the Steelers to the Jets, Melvin Gordon when he held out and switched teams. Yeah.
Oh, no, well, I know one thing too, and I got to chat with Todd Gurley about it at VCon. I got to sit down, and obviously one of the speaker panels was Todd Gurley and the gentleman from Yahoo Sports there. And one of the questions I kind of asked him, and in big shouts to him, he was like a very humble guy. Sat down, chatted with me for like 5 minutes after everybody had kind of bugged him for pictures and stuff like that. And I kind of asked him his thoughts on how you were one of the people who was at the peak of their game, and you get to a point where all of a sudden it just seems like the teams don't want to pay you, and all of a sudden you don't have a job, right? And you kind of go away. And it was really cool to hear his take. He kind of said you do have to pass the torch. He had some knee injuries and stuff where he probably only had another year or two he was going to really play anyways because he wanted to be healthy. And again, congrats to him. He had a little girl, so now he's a dad, and you want to be healthy and be a family man, right? And if you're all beat down, you can't do that. So it was very interesting to hear his take. I do think though, in the case of Derrick Henry, it's a little different because they did give him a bag. They did pay him. They weren't just like, now you're moving on, we're going to give you nothing, it's over. So we'll see. And with Lamar Jackson being such a threat, I think it's going to be interesting because who's going to take the ball, especially in those play actions. I mean, that's going to be filthy.
For sure. Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, all that. And we're going to see the running backs this year. Think about how many running backs switch teams. You got Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, Saquon.
So many. And they all kind of
mix in. They're all did a merry-go-round to all these new teams. And we'll see if they still got gas left in the tank because I know the running backs have been trying to get their salaries increased.
Yeah, and they all got in that 10, 12 million range for the most part. So it was good to see some of them get paid. But I honestly I feel like running back is a more important position than wide right. And then call me crazy, but if you don't have a good running back, you're not opening up down the field. And those are the guys that you're giving the ball to. If they're good guys, 15, 20, sometimes even 30 times, and they're just getting hammered. I truly think they're underpaid, especially for how short their careers are because of those reasons I just said.
I'm going to give a devil's advocate here. When you think of the success of the dynasties, right? I think Patriots, Chiefs, the teams that win Super Bowls, they don't necessarily have that crazy star running back. Think about Brady, who's shifted through his James Whites, Deion Lewis, Jonas Gray, the Chiefs with Damian Williams, Darrell Williams, Pacheco this year. It's like the running back never seems to be like it's important, but it never seems to be the focal point of a Super Bowl building roster.
That's fair. I would say the one season Brady had when he had LeGarrette Blount, he might have carried the squad that year. But no, you're definitely correct. I would have to agree.
Yeah, different. Again, every team has their different formula, but I feel like Adrian Peterson, Le'Veon Bell, Christian McCaffrey. I guess he made the Super Bowl, wasn't able to finish. Those LaShawn McCoy, those fantasy RB1s never seem to be the ones playing in the late playoff games, making a true difference. It's been the offensive line, the wide receivers winning their one-on-ones, and obviously, most importantly, can the quarterbacks get the job done.
Yeah, for sure. No, I won't disagree with you there. But we're just
Travis,
firing
what's
up.
your team? What's your team this year that you're going for?
The Texans for sure. I mean, I grew up a Cowboys fan, but I live in Houston, and CJ Stroud and Diggs and Nico Collins and Tank Dell, they have a special team this year. So I'm probably going to put some money on them to win the Super Bowl.
I know me and Trav made a huge trade in our dynasty league for sure. I might regret it later because I had a pretty young stack of quarterbacks, but I traded him CJ Stroud, Tank Dell. I think there were some picks involved, and I got Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I can't remember who else was involved, but we made a pretty big blockbuster trade. And then I actually was able to, again, at VCon there, Gary's garage sale, there was a lot of really cool sports memorabilia and obviously all the V-Friends cards, Fanatics Fest. They introduced their vault system and all that there. But the one booth, I was able to get my hands on a CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, and a Nico Collins rookie card. And then I told Telton, I was like, that's my gift to you, because he's always been pretty supportive of what I'm doing over here and stuff. So he's got the stack. I also got my hands on a Garrett Wilson, a Sauce Gardner,
Nice.
and a Breece Hall rookie card. I'm going to save those to try and make a deal with Gary V one day. Maybe I'll see if I can maybe trade him for a box of Compete Collect or something. But I was going to bug him at VCon during the selfie thing, but then I was like, Gary's been very kind with me over the years with his time, and it was running late, and I was like, I'm not going to bug him. I'm just going to kind of try to move through it quick and let him bug everybody else. But Gary, if you're watching, I'm coming to make a trade with you one of these days.
Got it. Trav, what's the expectations, would you say, in the city of Houston for the Texans this year? Is it win a playoff game again? Is it AFC Championship? What has been the vibe of the fans that you're expecting this season, for a successful season, I should say? You're on mute, by the way.
You're looking pretty, but you're muted, buddy.
Well, I was just saying that they're so exciting to watch. So the expectations, I mean, around our household and our friends, it's Super Bowl. We have an amazing coach, amazing players. As long as we can avoid injuries, right? Like Aaron Rodgers last year, fourth play. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you don't need to tell me. I was there in MetLife Stadium when he got hurt. The entire soul just kind of got sucked out of me on that one.
Well, and last year too, we had the Green is Green event that you guys put on down in Denver, and when that announced, I was like, this is going to be so awesome. The Broncos are my team. I'm going to get to watch them play Rodgers. Well, by week 5, it had fallen apart. There was no Rodgers. I gave up on the Broncos already. They were looking like Russ Wilson wasn't going to be able to complete more than 10 passes a night. And I still had a really great time hanging out with everybody, but it's this year you guys are doing it again, and I'll get into the Vayner Sports reward shop here in a couple rounds or two. I want to get through the heat of the draft, and then I'll show everybody the cool stuff you guys are offering and all the unique access and everything. But it's, again, Broncos and Jets. You guys are doing a raffle with the Vayner Sports Pass digital membership tokens again, and I'm hoping I can get a win, because maybe this year I could have those high expectations for. We got Bo Nix, we got a new squad. Hopefully they'll get Javonte Williams running the ball properly and a healthy Rodgers. It could be a heck of a game, but the Jets did end up winning last year, so we might be in trouble if they got Mr. Rodgers.
Yeah, we'll see, man. That was a fun game last year. I remember Quincy Williams ended up closing that out with a little strip sack, and then Bryce Hall took that to the house.
Like watching Russ Wilson in person last year was just embarrassing. Like the guy would drop back and then there'd be like for sure, like even probably my 4-year-old child could have ran the 10 yards for the first down, but he's like standing there hanging out and then he just drops back, gets sacked, fumbled. And it's like you could run and get I look back to a couple years ago when I really wish the Broncos had drafted Justin Fields, but instead they blew up the entire defense, like went from number 1 defense, just ruined the whole team, bring in Russ Wilson, bring in Sean Payton. And I was looking the whole season going like literally all these plays, all these openings, if you just had Justin Fields, we'd be first down. So it annoyed me to watch Rodgers give up all those sacks and again end it with just a horrible strip sack when he literally could have ran for a first down, but just decided to hang on.
Yeah, that's tough, man. So what are the Broncos fans feeling now that Bo Nix was named the starter? Expecting him to be the guy?
That's what I was hoping for. I mean, I didn't really want to see Zach Wilson or Jared Stidham start. You burnt some early capital on getting Bo Nix. You ended up pairing him with Troy Franklin, who's a guy that they set some records in college, and you still got Cortland Sutton. And again, Javonte Williams. I know you touched on Adrian Peterson earlier. The 3 most highly touted or highest ranked, according to Pro Football Focus, the 3 highest ranked running backs to ever enter the NFL were 1, Adrian Peterson, 2, Saquon Barkley, and 3, Javonte Williams. And you just haven't really seen Denver let him loose yet. The first year they had Melvin Gordon, that was the year, again, I think you touched on him transitioning that year, and they were giving him the ball half the time. And I was like, just give it to the young kid. Like, give him those 20 touches and let him play the game, because I think good running backs like that, they need the field time. You got to let them get into the game. You can't only give them 10, 12 touches. Like, you got to feed them the rock and let him go. So hopefully Sean Payton lets him loose this year.
Javonte looked good his rookie year. I remember he had that ACL year. That was kind of tough. He was looking good early on. But last year he was solid. I think he was probably on the wrong side of the ACL recovery possibly, and didn't have as big of a season as they'd hoped. But another year removed, I think he's poised for a big year. What's that backfield looking like? It's Javonte. Is P. Ryan still in that backfield, or Jaleel McLaughlin?
P. Ryan and McClellan, they're kind of the backup guys, and they don't really stand out as anything that interesting to me. So hopefully they give Javonte the rock. And then the defenses, I mean, again, I don't know what that head office does. I've been saying for years, I think they're just lost there, but they give Justin Simmons away for basically free. So he's gone. They obviously still have Surtain, but that's going to be it's going to be a big missing piece, not having him. And then there's just a couple other moves that you shake your head at. Even giving Jerry Jeudy away for 5th and a 6th. I think Jerry Judy's going to feast in Cleveland. Because again, I think it was Russ Wilson's fault that guy wasn't getting any balls. So I think they're going to regret that trade this year.
Cortland Sutton, he's a big body, man. I was hoping the Jets were going to get him in a trade. He's like a sure hand, tall wide receiver.
He's good. We got a big run going here in round 5 of tight ends. I
know. I wanted to scoop up Mark Andrews there, but Grinch took that. That's why I kind of settled on Pitts. I was debating between like Pitts or Kittle. I'm going to go for the high ceiling guy in Pitts this time. I know it's the classic trap pick, like, oh, is this going to be his final breakout year? If there was going to be any year, the fact that everything kind of got switched up with Kirk Cousins, he was feeding Hawkinson the entire time he was in Minnesota, so why not Pitts? We'll see. But there's a lot of players and not enough ball for that between Bijan.
If Pitts doesn't do it this year, though, I think it's kind of going to be the end of his run personally, but we'll see. I mean, he's had a couple down years, and I think it's make or break for him this year to prove that he's worth that capital they spent a couple years ago.
Yeah, and we'll see what Darnell Mooney is this year as the wide receiver too.
And what are your thoughts on the Kirk Cousins deal? Obviously, that first they signed him for that $180 million, 4 years, and obviously shouts to Vayner Sports. You guys had the honor to negotiate that contract. Well done for a guy at that age. It's a pretty amazing contract. So, if there's any athletes out there looking for an agent, you better hit up Vayner Sports because they seem to be pretty dialed in. But once they made the pick, I honestly was like, You know what? It kind of makes sense because I've been saying, like, I think a lot of these rookie like quarterbacks, and I know I just said I'm happy to see the Broncos firing Bo Nix in there, but I don't really think they have a true veteran in front of them. But they get rushed into things so crazily, right? So I think when you actually look and break down the Kirk Cousins contract, 2 years guaranteed money, the rest is not so much. Now, of course, if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm pissed off because you think he got the 4 years, but I think that they're going to do 2 years developing and that, let him learn under Kirk Cousins. And then I honestly think you might see him start in year 3 and Kirk be moved or something. That's really how I think it'll play out.
Yeah, this is his year to show that he still got some juice left in the tank. The Penix thing obviously threw a lot of people off, shocked on our end, but he's still got the team behind him. Obviously, he would have loved to have some help on the offensive side or defensive side with that first-round pick. I think a lot of people were projecting Dallas Turner or whichever defensive player of choice. But to give Atlanta credit, they just got Judon. They signed Justin Simmons, so it's not like they did nothing on the defensive front. Still got Bates and all that. So they got a squad. And I think Atlanta is definitely the favorite in the NFC South in that division. We'll see. It's between probably the Falcons and Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Todd Bowles is in their coach, first-time coach for the Falcons also, so we'll see what's going on there. NFC South is going to be fun to watch. Bryce Young, is he the guy? Went first overall last year. CJ Stroud was looking like the better pick. Can Derek Carr make his resurgence after a down year last year? NFC South has some really interesting storylines now that I'm just saying it out loud.
No, for sure. And that's we just wrapped up 5 rounds there. Honestly, nothing too crazy. We got a Big East stacking up a bunch of running backs on the tail end, and then hopping into round 6 with Anthony Richardson, who was another one of those stud quarterbacks that was picked. Again, had an injury pretty early on, and we didn't get to see the best of him, but he's easily got the most rushing upside, I would say, of almost any quarterback in the NFL right now. Well, aside from maybe Lamar Jackson, those 2 guys are probably top there, but it's not cool to see most of these teams rounding out. Everybody seems like they know what they're doing, but hey, that's what you get when you got the best sports community in the NFT space. They're very going to come out and show the knowledge for sure.
Yeah, who's on the clock right now? Pino,
and then you're up.
Yeah, I'm planning on taking Burrow here as my quarterback. I feel comfortable saying that because Pino has Stroud, so
he's not going to snipe it. If he does, I mean, not a good move for him to take 2 quarterbacks that early, I don't think. And who knows if he's listed or not.
Let's see what he's going to do here.
And 2, if you guys look up top, there's a little barcode up there that'll send you over to my website. If you scan that, you can check that out and learn a little bit about my project. But there's also, I'm going to just swap it out here. That barcode there will take you over to the Vayner Sports Rewards website. You can make yourself an account, get involved in everything they're doing. Once this 6th round wraps up, I'm gonna go through some of the stuff on the website there. I sent the referral code over to a couple friends, so hopefully they sign up. And I told them, I said, I need the badge, and you guys gotta get involved with what's going on. So that's why I was razzing you the other day for the referral code, because I have a lot of friends that are obviously big sports fans. So. Yeah. Try to share it with them, because I mean, through your guys' project, I've gone on 4 or 5 trips in the last 2.5 years. You guys have sent me out to, like I was talking about, the game in Denver, game in Boston. I just spent a couple weeks out in Paris, and again, thanks to you guys for giving me a hotel and tickets to boxing, tickets to 3-on-3 basketball, and I made a journey out of it and went there. I wouldn't have been going to the Olympics had you guys not gave me that prize package. So then it was really cool to take it in and go spend a couple weeks out in Paris and go on a little solo journey, take in some sports, and was really stoked to do that. So again, thank you guys, because I don't know any other projects in the space that are really doing what you guys are doing. So it's a big shouts to you guys and AJ and Gary and everybody over at Vayner Sports, as well as my buddy Cal, who's not with us in the stream this weekend, but me and Cal have became pretty good buddies over the years too and stuff. So just really enjoy everything you guys are doing.
That's great, man. Yeah, Cal's back in his hometown of Thailand. He grew up there. He hasn't been there since he left in his childhood. But great to hear all the experiences. That's what it's about, right? It's sending awesome people like you and Travis and everyone else in the community to great sporting events and just creating a community around sports. And what better way to do that than on this Saturday night talking some football?
Yeah, and again, thank you for taking the time out of your evening to join us, same as everybody who's drafting with us, or some people are auto drafting. I made a little post the other day of just like a joking post on my Bushleague Sports of trying to organize all the boys for a fantasy draft. It'll never happen. You're always going to have people be like, I can't draft at that time. And I've just learned over the years that I'm like, there's no way we're ever going to agree. You just got to pick a time and go with it, because everybody's busy. Everybody's doing stuff all over the place. So it's cool to see this many people actually be in the draft room, though. I think we only got 2 or 3 people on auto draft. So
for sure. I mean, have a draft of 18 people for my guillotine fantasy league, and it's impossible to get everyone. I just like put my foot down and said, this is the date. Whoever can make it. And I think like 15 of 18 people can make it, and that's a take.
I guess I never really thought about it. Yeah, I guess 18 is probably the perfect number for a guillotine, because you want to be down to 2 teams at the end of the season. I've only partaken in 1 or 2 of those, but I know you were saying you really enjoy doing them, and it's fun aspect that for anyone who hasn't done one, whoever's, I think, the lowest scoring team each week gets booted from the league, and then all their players go up for waivers.
It's great, man. I think it's the best possible secondary fantasy league. It can't be your main league because you could get out early and then like that's kind of like done. But as your secondary fantasy league, if you have like a main one with your friends or with this or whatever it is, having that one on the side, just like managing it, throwing in your silent bids there, it's so much fun, dude.
Nice. Well, we're just rolling into the 6th round. Talton grabbing Reed and Adunze to wrap up 5 and start 6. Caleb Williams, did someone snipe him already? No, someone took him pretty early in a draft I did earlier, but Odunze, I think, is going to be one of the top targets, even though they got Keenan Allen. I know they did a lot together in
yeah, rookie quarterbacks are always interesting. Obviously worked out for Stroud last year, but the other 3 or 4 that ended up getting taken, maybe not so much, but we'll see. It's a very interesting year for rookies. You got a lot of first-time quarterbacks, a lot of first-time stuff going on, and we'll see what happens with all these rookies. It's going to be fun seeing all the inexperience between Jaden Daniels and Drake May and Bo Nix and JJ. Well, not JJ, but
well, we're down to only 2 on auto draft. Nice to see Ryan join us. He's back drafting live, and he got the auto pick off. I always hate you see some people join in a draft when they're a few rounds behind and the auto pick's on, and then you can tell that they haven't shut it off, and they're all like panicking, like, oh, why is it auto picking? But Ryan dialed her in right away, so love to see it.
Nice.
But yeah, so anybody, like I say, that barcode, it's on the other side here. That barcode over in the top right of the screen, that's going to take you over to the Vayner Sports Pass website, and you'll be able to check out everything they got going on. It's a really unique system. So basically, when you buy any merch from their shop here, and you see the little check, any of these things will activate points. You're going to get points that are going to get you into those raffles and different things, like we were just talking about, the different sporting events and all kinds of different stuff. And it's a really unique system. I mean, you guys are kind of first of its kind to innovate it. And so going in there, you would get points based off anything you purchase that can be used into those raffle systems. So, I mean, just a level above what any other sports project is offering. I mean, people are buying merch all the time from different companies, different brands. So it's cool to see the integration with that. And then for all the tokens you hold, you're going to get bonus points. So for people like us that are involved in the digital membership aspect of things, it really rewarding in that aspect. But you don't even have to have anything to do with NFTs or Web3. You can just be a normal sports consumer and take part in it. So that's something I really enjoy. And through that, I know I ordered some coffee. I'm looking forward to that. I'll sip on my sports cappuccino mug when it gets here, and I think I ordered some shorts and a couple shirts. So I'm looking forward to that stuff arriving. But I don't know if you have anything you wanted to mention on that aspect or not, and then I'll kind of show them some of the shop rewards and other things that are up for grabs right now.
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well. With Vayner Sports Rewards, we're kind of that first digital sports rewards program where we're kind of getting a lot of our fans involved by not just purchasing our merch, but actually getting these rewards points that people are able to use to redeem stuff like you were saying, packs of sports cards, memorabilia, athlete access, sporting tickets, and kind of everything in between, anything sports related that you could think of, digital competition, stuff like this that we're doing right now was accessible through this Vayner Sports Rewards program. And it's, again, simple as getting merch, getting points, and spending them in our reward shop on various different items. You really never know what's going to be thrown in that shop there from, again, as you see here, some leather jackets, sports cards, signed baseball gloves, signed football jerseys, signed helmets. It's everything in between.
Yeah, and then there's the Hollow Survivor Pass. It's kind of another thing that people can play, take part in, just like they had the option to buy access into this league. So thank you to everybody who did that. And I know the round of golf with AJ just wrapped up. That one went for quite a few points on that, and that'll be pretty fun for whoever gets to go out and take part in that. I know AJ last time he did a Vayner Sports thing. He got a hole in one, so I know he's probably hoping for the same luck when everybody gets together for that round of golf.
Yeah, that'll be a nice one. Shout out to who ended up getting that. MC Hiyashi Unleash 520 for getting that. We're coordinating that with AJ probably this week. Well, he's going to be out this week, but back after Labor Day.
I was out working, so I didn't get to play my villain arc of trying to bid it up this time. Otherwise,
there were plenty of villains. I promise you, TKB. You're
everybody's learning the ways, because I'm like, you either gotta buy it or you gotta help burn some of those points, because you never know what's coming in the future. You gotta get up there. And I know actually myself and Talton are if I go to the VSP leaderboard, I think we're sitting in the top 5 there. So we got a bag. So sometimes you got to play the villain arc and try to burn a few off. But I know John Thompson, he got me all confused saying it there. He's playing in this league, same as Talton, same as Ryan. So cool to see a lot of the top holders also taking part in this fantasy sports league. I appreciate you guys a ton.
Let's go. We appreciate you 100%.
Thank you, brother.
You got a nice stack of points, Travis. So you hoarding them up for something, or you kind of just like consistently kind of just using them for all the stuff?
What did you ask? Oh, no, I'm never selling my VSPs.
I was talking about your points. What are you?
I really want an experience with them if I can. So that's probably the next thing I'm looking for. I spent a lot on the pins for VCon and won that. So VSP has been really good to me, but I'm really looking for that unique one-off experience.
I know I was like the playing basketball with AJ and Gary. That was one that really interested me. I ended up letting someone else in the community win it. I literally bid one less point than what they had, and that's when I think the VSP points villain arc started, because I was like, I know that NFT Loverboy wants this. I went and I searched through while the bid was going, found how many points he had, and I'm like, I'm going to bid one less than what he had, because Katie was also bidding up, and she had quite a few more points than he did. And then I was like, if he doesn't, if he burns every point he had, it probably means he really wants it, and I'm going to let him have it and save my points and try for, like Talton said, a different experience in the future. And sure enough, he bid max, so I was like, we'll let him have it. But he's on the injured reserve right now. But another big contributing member to VSP, they do their weekly huddle with you guys and doer, and that's always a fun show to get caught up on. So if you're ever looking for something on, I think it's Wednesdays they do it. Maybe Tuesdays. Go check it out. You guys can come ask questions yourselves or learn anything about the VSP project while they do that live Twitter show.
Taking your boy Javonte Williams, hoping for a big season out of him.
I love to see it. Hopefully, hopefully for your sake, at the Green and Green event, he just runs it down the throats of the Jets. Maybe we'll get a good running back battle for you. But you got the boy, so you'll be locked in for that one, ready to any outcome will be good for the fantasy team.
I mean, out of all the things with the Jets, their biggest flaw is definitely their run defense. Last year, they were giving up easily 100 yards plus per game. So we'll see what's going on there. Obviously, have some stuff going on with Hassan Reddick, which last I checked, nothing ended up happening with that holdout, right?
I don't think so. No, not as far as I know.
I would guess he does not show up for week 1 at this point with 2 weeks left in the season and still hasn't showed up to the facility besides for the first physical.
Nice. And for those wonder what we're chatting about, the Green to Green event is a raffle that you guys have done last year and again this year, where again, when you have those digital membership tokens, you can come enter these raffles. Actually, absolutely no purchase necessary. Just as long as you're holding those tokens, you're able to enter these raffles and get just really cool rewards that you guys are offering through the program.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one.
There's the previous ones. There was a Germany soccer. Oh, I didn't mean to zoom in. Canada baseball game, and then Paris, France, which was one of the ones that I won for going out to the Olympics. So just, you guys are always up to something. I kind of, as a bit of a connoisseur in the Web3 space, I always kind of giggle because a lot of people seem to fade the VFriends or the VSP projects for I have no idea what reason, because I would say without a doubt, you guys are delivering far more real world intangibles than any other projects out there so far. So if anybody in any of my Web3 community, friends, make sure you check it out, because it's literally been the most rewarding thing I've been a part of the last few years.
That's great to hear, man. I love it.
Well, you know what, too? When obviously you were at VCon and got to hear Gary speak and take in a lot of speakers and stuff. It was really cool because his closing keynote was something that really, really touched me and really was pretty heartfelt of him, just trying to tell people if you got to make changes in your life to find happiness, and then find what you like doing and go out and chase that dream and, put in the effort. Don't just talk about it. You actually got to go do it. And kind of near the end of the keynote, it's something I've been thinking about for a while. Obviously, I've started doing this show on and off about a year ago and trying to get a little more consistent with it. But two of the things that I said to myself is, I got to get back to being a comedian. I've always been just a funny person a lot of times. And the other thing I really love is fantasy sports. So I was like, I got to focus on comedy and fantasy sports. And when it all wrapped up, I walked out, and I know me and John were talking, and then I told John, I said, I got to run out of here. I want to get over to the hotel, get changed, meet back up for the T-Pain concert that was going to close it out. I walked out of the VCon, and at stage 5, they had a little DJ playing. And right as I walked out, they were like, oh, we're going to give away some merch. They throw out this sweater. It bounces over to 2 people's hands, and I'm literally just walking by, and I just grab it, falls right into my hand. And it's this sweater right here. Competitive clown. And I literally grabbed it, and I looked at it, and I just got goosebumps, because I was like, there is no other VFriends character that would be more resembling of being funny and being competitive in fantasy sports. And it literally just fell right in my hands as I walked out the building. And I was like, the universe is aligning something very interesting right now. And so it almost gave me a little boost to be like, you got to go for it. That didn't just happen for absolutely no reason, but I got to giggle. But this thing's comfy as heck. I'm loving it. And again, you got the VSP hat. You guys got a lot of great merch as well. But that was a kind of a interesting moment that nobody really knew that happened. But for me, it was just it literally gave me goosebumps. I was like, what? That's kind of crazy. To have that thought, and then that's what lands in my hand. Well, there was literally probably 200 people that were standing there waiting for it, and it bounced off a couple people's hands right into my lap. And I was just like, oh, cool. Thank you. That was awesome.
Happened to be your size also?
Yeah, I would say it's a pretty good fit. I think we're golden. Yeah, it's about a large. It's perfect. Oh, you can't see, but yeah, it's literally perfectly my size. So it was like the universe was telling me something there, I think.
That's great, man. That's great. Yeah, that keynote was powerful for sure. Going through the characteristics of what is necessary for all of us to continue forward, whether that be in just business, relationships, life, whatever it was. That was some powerful stuff for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely it was cool to see why he created some of those characters, right? And what motivated him to hear some of the stories, and obviously really touching just how his parents influenced him and stuff like that. And really I took a lot away from it personally, for sure. And had a pretty good conversation with Gary once or twice over the weekend. And just, he's a very special person for sure. And you know, so is AJ. They're both just very kind people. Like for the status and stuff they have, they're two of the most humble people ever. You can approach them, talk to them. They treat you like equals, and it's cool to see because not everybody is like that, right?
For sure.
But yeah, again, make sure if you guys want to get involved with what they're doing, that barcode at the top will literally take you right over to the Vayner Sports Rewards Shop, and just give her a scan and head over there, sign up. If you're one of my buddies, hit me a message. I'll send you a referral code before you sign up. Well, I got to get that badge, baby.
Yeah.
So where are we at? Let's see. We are kicking it in the 8th round right now of the or 9th round. Sorry, we missed one. 9th round. We're in the 9th round of this 15-round, 12-team sleeper draft here, and nothing. Again, there hasn't really been anything crazy. Actually, in my draft we just did, there was like defenses going already. The odd person had a kicker. I'm not sure what some of those people were doing, but it's a pretty knowledgeable group here. I don't see anything too out of the ordinary. And we got a couple guys with 2 tight ends pretty early on. There's a few names that I think are pretty studly that I would have been waiting for a little later to take as my second tight end. But other than that, I don't know. Anybody got any good quarterback stacks going here? We got Mahomes and Rice for Ryan Slider. Oh, and Worthy. He got the full stack, Mahomes, Rice, Worthy. If you guys are sitting there, one of the guys that does intrigue me is Hollywood Brown. And just a little trick of the trade, if you're watching the show, you can learn from it. But on a league that, especially in sleeper, leagues that have IR spots, which we do have 2 IR spots on this league, I like taking a guy or 2 if I can get my hands on him in the right spot that is on the pup or is already injured. Another name I'll mention if you're watching is Nick Chubb. I literally just took both those guys in my draft because I knew as soon as the draft ended, I can put them in the pup and then take my kicker, then take my defense. So it allowed me to just draft my full 15 because on sleeper, it's not like Yahoo where it forces you to fill your roster and makes you take a kicker or defense if you don't have them in the last 2 rounds. You can kind of slow play it a bit in that essence. And I think it's a smart play because I do think Hollywood Brown's going to be the number 1 guy there once he is back playing, but he'll be out. It sounds like he might even be back week 2 or 3, so it's not that long of a wait. I know Chubb is going to start on the prop, so he'll miss the first 4 weeks. But it's a move that I like doing in fantasy because this early in the season, you get a couple extra guys. By the time one of them's back, you might have somebody that's already injured. You might not even have to drop someone to activate them. So it's a sneaky move I like doing when I do my drafts.
How many IR spots you said?
2. I got 2 IR. So, for everybody who's not live, well, they don't get to learn that secret unless they're watching. But that's what it's been very useful for me over the years, being able to do that. And because you see a lot of guys like that, they fall down the draft because people don't necessarily want to use that roster spot. But it's like, if you really believe in the player, give them the stash. You're going to – Nick Chubb was – like consistent first round for like the last 2-3 years. So if you can sneak a guy like that in the 10th round or something, I just think it's a gold mine because if he comes back and he's Nick Chubb, well, geez, that's a league winner in the 10th round or whenever it might be, right?
Yeah, I was going to take him. Grinch took him 2 picks later. 2 picks before me, rather.
He went 7th round. That's not too bad. Coming to your pick though, the other and don't let me influence you in any way, but Jerome Ford is the guy he's starting. He played very well last year, and I think that's if he doesn't go before, I would hope the guy who has Nick Chubb is maybe thinking of taking him because that's a stack I would personally want if I'm drafting.
Yeah, I'd say I'm debating right now between getting my backup quarterback and Goff in the off chance that Burrow gets re-injured or is not the same guy. Because my starting roster, besides for the kicker and defense, is pretty full right now. I could always obviously use the depth. So I'm debating between Goff and Jameson Williams right now.
The draft I just did, I waited I waited, and around round 9 or 10, I was going to take off as actually my first quarterback because my first pick was Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I was waiting. One of my buddies sniped him like 6 picks before. So Brian, I hate you, but we'll see in a couple of weeks, and we'll hug it out and we'll laugh about it. But rattled because I'm like, Goff is, I honestly think, going to be he was number 7 in fantasy last year. I don't see any reason why he isn't top 10, maybe even top 5 again this year, personally.
For sure. I'm actually going to snag Cortland Sutton here, your guy there.
Not a bad pick, especially when you already have a quarterback. You can risk not having that. I always think it's a lot better to stack your depth where you can at receiver, at running back. And so far you got Adams, Ayuk, Waddle. That's a solid starting 3. And then Hopkins and Sutton are definitely no slouches either. So you're looking pretty solid for sure. And then even you seeing Montgomery go ahead of Williams, they're both beasts as well. Even though Montgomery isn't the number 1 there, Jamar Gibbs is. He was still one of the best fantasy performers last year. And if they keep the offense like it was last year, he's an absolute stud. I actually made a trade last year. I drafted Anthony Richardson in our rookie draft that Talton is in Dynasty. And then I traded Richardson before the season for Montgomery in a first. And I ended up winning the league. It couldn't have been more perfect outcome for me because Montgomery was a huge help in winning the league. I had some injuries, and going down the stretch, I was starting Gibbs and Montgomery, and they were both like 10, 15, 20 points each every week. Super useful. So to walk away with my first pick, not have Anthony Richardson out for the year, and win the league because of Montgomery, it was maybe the greatest trade I ever made. But in our league, I kind of slow played everyone the first few years, more or less tanked, traded away studs, racked up first. And then last year, everybody was rattled. But I picked CJ Stroud, Levi's, Richardson, basically cornered the quarterback market. So then all of my buddies that were like, Brady's retiring, all the guys retiring, were basically back up against the wall. So I was like, well, if you want him, I want my first back and a player. And I was able to do a little grease in the wheel in Dynasty last year that helped the team for sure.
It's the best part of Dynasty, those crazy trades with the draft picks and everything.
Yeah, I love it. And it's always interesting to see everybody's reaction because so many people value stuff so differently, right? Yeah. Where it's like, oh, that's a veto or this or that. And I've tried to move away from vetoes at all, unless it's like you can tell someone's it's just crazy lopsided and they're maybe cheating or something. We got pretty good guys in our league. We don't really have to worry about that a whole lot, but it's just so subjective, right? Where it's really hard to go and say no, because even when me and Talton did that trade and everybody was like, oh, you got him on Ross St. Brown. And it was like, well, I also gave up probably one of the best rookie quarterbacks. It's literally his favorite team. And so, I mean, everybody sees things a little differently, but I think we made a pretty good deal there, Talton. You're muted, buddy.
I'm happy with it too. I've got all my Texans on my team.
Yeah, it'll make watching the games that much better, right? Even me, the Broncos, they've been slacking a little bit, but I still like drafting a couple and gives you an extra reason to root for the boys on Sunday or Thursday, Monday, whenever it might be. I'm
excited to watch Bo Nix. I really am.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. He's got Troy Franklin and he's got Sutton, and they should be a good team as long as Bo stays healthy and he develops decently. They should be a fairly okay team, but we'll see. I don't think we're going to the Super Bowl, but it would be cool to see a playoff game for sure. Would be nice this year. I think the Broncos are one of the teams that they're in the bottom 7 or 8 of the last time they won a playoff game. It's been 2015, which is that's a crazy fall from grace from the Peyton Manning years to now. It's been almost 10 years since they won a playoff game.
Preaching to the choir, my guy. I haven't seen a Jets playoff game since 2010.
We got a few people commenting. My buddy Brent showing up saying, "Hey, Brent, nice to hear from you." He's an advocate for mental health and disability up here in Canada. So nice to see him tuning into the show. And then we got another comment here, comics multiplication. Sorry, it's going over your face there, Michael. But do you prioritize drafting wide rights in half a point PPR? That's actually a really good question. And I don't even think I mentioned it, but this league is full point PPR. But in a half PPR, it doesn't necessarily change a whole lot for me because the scoring is still somewhat the same. I think in a full point PPR, I'm actually going to be prioritizing those pass catching running backs is something that's really important to me when it's a full point. But in half PPR, definitely probably going to move a few running backs ahead in my draft rankings for sure. But for the most part, not a crazy change to me in how I draft necessarily. For the most part, I just want the best players in those positions. But I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that. But there's going to be a few running backs for me that sneak up the ladder a bit, but nothing too crazy in the way I go about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I would change my strategy drastically since both guys are getting that half point. Yeah, I would kind of treat it the same. What is interesting is I think the running backs are very top heavy, and then there's a big drop off.
Yep.
Especially with so much uncertainty going on this year. Really, once you drop off from Gibbs, even going to Kyron Williams, listen, he had a great year, rookie year, but that backfield's getting a little bit crowded. Is he going to have as crazy of a season? Same thing with ETN. A-Chain's coming off an ACL. Josh Jacobs, new team.
Yeah.
So get your star running back early is what I did this draft, and then just start plucking those wide receivers. And I waited for a solid RB2 in Montgomery or Javonte Williams, which I think both could be my RB2s middle of the season.
And I'm just going to go over to my Twitter and give this draft a share. But if you guys are watching, please do us a favor. Give it a like, a comment, or a share. We appreciate it a ton. It'll help get the word out of what we're doing with Bushleague Sports here and what Vayner Sports is doing with their reward system. So if you're watching, please do us a favor and give it a share. Tell a friend. I appreciate that a ton. But yeah, and you mentioned Kyron Williams. I really think that, and I was looking here, the stack didn't happen, but I think Blake Corum is a guy you really want to have just because he is a good player, and they drafted him. They spent some capital on him decently early in the draft for running back, and Kyron Williams was a workhorse last year. I hope he is this year because I took him second round in my draft. And then my buddy I have a couple friends who their whole draft strategy, like in the second half of the draft, is take everyone to Tyrone's handcuffs before he can, even if we have to reach, because they know it pisses me off. So there was quite a bit of that happening in the draft. Trey Benson, Blake Corum both got sniped by a couple buddies who I don't think they would pick them ever. Just they knew that it would irk me and they might be able to grease me for a trade. But I really think one of the big advantages in fantasy is making sure you do know who that RB2 is and trying to get him. Or if you know a team that is really, really, really run heavy, even if you don't get that RB1, getting the backup, because if that guy goes down, you have a instant plug and play. Whereas someone like Jerome Ford, when Nick Chubb went down last year, things like that, it's good to know early, because once the injury happens, now you're in a bidding war, depending like how your waivers go. Some leagues is last place gets first pick. The way we run all leagues is free agent acquisition budget. So everybody gets $200. You get to put in your bids every week, and highest bid gets the player. And I think it's a lot funner, a lot fairer. It makes a little strategy in the game a bit. But yeah, if you don't have the guy, now you're in a bidding war. And it's just, I like being proactive and trying to take those guys a little early.
Sure. Comics asked another question, if you want to pin that up.
Yeah.
What goes through your mind when someone in your league drafts a quarterback in round one? So there's a few things that go through my mind. If it's a 2-quarterback league, it makes sense. I think if you're in a 2-quarterback league, Mahomes and Josh Allen are probably going in the first round. Not that you have to take them. It's just naturally, I think that's how some people think. If you're in a 1-quarterback league and Mahomes or Josh Allen are going in your first round and you're towards the back half of the first round, or even if you're in the front of the first round, I think that's good news for you, because that's just one less draft pick of taking a stud. So if you're picking 7 or 8 and 2 picks in front of you end up drafting quarterbacks, that leaves you with an opportunity to get Amon-Ra or Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase at possibly 9, 10, or 11.
Yeah, no,
So
for sure.
it's a good thing. I would say if other people like that doesn't mean that you should panic and take a quarterback. I think you could be extremely patient on them because there's 10, 12 teams in your league, 32 starting quarterbacks. I would say the top 15 are really the bulk of the ones that are going to do well. So
when I was just looking here, or sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mike. Go ahead.
No. That's my thoughts on the quarterback situation.
No, but yeah, I was looking here. The first one went at the start of the third round. I know the draft I just did, one went in the second round. I think you're going to see those top guys start to go in round 3, 4. I'm personally not going to take one because I know one thing I've learned over the years is if you actually really look back and go through quarterback fantasy stats, every year there's usually 1 or 2 guys that might be that standalone, like they're way ahead, like Mahomes a couple years ago or Lamar Jackson. And then you literally usually get in a bunch where like quarterback 3 to 15, a lot of times, if we really go look, they're within like 20, 30 points of each other. So I often feel like it's a waste there. I would rather get another stud running back or stud wide receiver, like you said, and honestly wait a lot later in the draft. Like I was mentioned earlier, I was waiting until like the 10th round to try and get Goff as my first quarterback. I really think that some guys, of everybody who drafted all those guys in the first, round 3, 4 here, the guys that were taken, which were Josh Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, Jackson, Stroud, Murray, you're only probably going to see two of those guys rise to the top, and the other guys are literally probably going to be no different than a Tua or a Goff or something like that. So personally, I really like waiting, and if someone does, I kind of giggle. But as you mentioned, 2 quarterback leagues, I think it is imperative that you get those stud quarterbacks in the first round. I would skip over someone like Amon-Ra or something to get myself a Lamar Jackson, because in a 2 quarterback league, first off, pretty much everybody should have 3 quarterbacks on the roster, because you can start 2. You're going to want that extra guy in case of injury or in case of the bye weeks, etc. So in a 12-team league, suddenly, for sure, 36 quarterbacks are probably getting drafted. If you wait too long, I think you're going to regret it when you get into a 2 quarterback league. So I definitely think that grabbing those guys, getting 1 or 2 of those guys early is very important when you go to 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah. Although even in 2 quarterback leagues, I still don't like taking a quarterback round 1.
That's fair.
I'd just so much rather take your star running back or star receiver in the beginning.
Yep, don't disagree. And so we just seen in round 13, our first defenses go: 49ers, Ravens, and the Jets, some of the main defenses that you usually see going in most drafts. And honestly, so far, so good, a pretty insane draft. There was no moment in this draft where I was like, what the heck are people doing here?
Laporta 2.6, I would say, is the biggest surprise pick.
Which one, sorry?
Sam Laporta at 2.6.
For sure. Again, though, to me, I don't really necessarily have anything against it, because depending how some people view tight end, I truly think that tight end is like a make or break position. You're literally kind of opposite. I feel like there's usually only like 4 or 5 guys that are actually end up being good. And if you don't have one of those guys, getting that 2 points, 4 points, trying to struggle through who you might start at tight end week to week, I think being able to lock in an absolute stud at the tight end position, and a lot of my friends don't agree with me, but I think it's actually key to winning fantasy championships. I might not have taken Laporta there when you had a couple other guys like maybe a Kane or someone like that. But honestly, I'm looking at it, and
What's
most
ADP?
don't stick out to me. I probably would have maybe made that pick there, because Kels has been a league winner a lot of years too for people. So.
What's Laporta's ADP? I'm curious.
You know what? I don't know if it will tell us that just by looking at it on here. I'd have to go through and look, but I think he's pretty average, like around probably mid 3rd round-ish. I think is pretty standard. Him and Kelser at the top of the game there. I don't know if he'd be around pick 30 for an ADP or 25. I'm not sure. If I switch under this, it'll pull it off the screen, so I don't want to.
Yeah, based on the quick searches that I'm putting up, it looks like ADP is around 29, so about a round earlier than the average, which, yeah, not the craziest thing.
No, and I mean, you look and it's like, I think you got the only other player, or maybe Devon Kane, that I would have really for sure been like, those are guaranteed players, I think, that are going to do it. Otherwise, you got Ayuk, Collins, Olev, Pacheco, even like James Cook is, I think, I'm definitely taking Laporta before James Cook myself. So I don't really have a huge problem with taking a guy like Laporta or Kelsey there. And the other big name, I think, being Andrews and Kittle. I think those are like the 4 top tight ends, and some guys I think that are really good late. Actually, they haven't even gone yet. Is from Tennessee. You have, I don't even know how to say it, but Chigoziem Okonkwo or whatever.
Maryland alum.
I think he's a stud that is sitting a little late, and I also think Mike Gesicki is going to be a really good player. He was feasting. Well, I mean, he was a top 4, top 3 tight end in Miami. He goes to New England. They don't really do anything with him. I think he's going to be Burrow's guy. He doesn't have Mixon there anymore. He's got, Jamar Chase and some guys that are going to go out deep, a lot of speed. I really think we're going to see Gesicki have a great season. Personally, I think he's a sneaky pick.
Truth, I didn't know Gesicki was in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and you got Joe Burrow, so you never know. That might be a sneaky stash for you. Again, don't let me. I see you took Brandon Cooks, which is really greasy play. Like, I don't know why he's sitting to the 14th there. It's pretty wild to me.
Yeah, a little sleeper. Last pick, got to go defense here. Tyrone, I'll let you pick my defense.
Let's see who we got available. Oh, man, I think it's hard to fade the Dolphins. I mean, I think they are one of the top defenses out there. The other one might be the Eagles. But personally, I'm probably taking Miami myself. I'm actually surprised they weren't. I think Miami's probably a top 5 defense. I thought they should have gone probably before the Bucs, the Browns, or the Steelers myself. So to see them sitting there for you, I think that's pretty good. They had a couple games where they let some big yardage, but for the most part, they were pretty solid, and they made some improvements in the offseason this year. I think that, unless you had your favorite team sitting there, but the Jets are already gone, I think Dolphins is a great pick in that spot in the 15th.
Nice. I'm glad. Don't know much about the defensive side of things, as I've been out of tune with that a little bit.
And Fairburn as a kicker, that's good, because for me, a kicker, I'm always just going to want a guy who I think is on a high scoring team, right? So
that combined with his indoor dome that he plays in Houston should help.
Yep, for sure. Same as Detroit players. They got actually, my buddy, I didn't even know the stats, but shout out to my buddy Brian. Jared Goff, the Detroit Lions, they played 15 out of 18 games this year in a dome, which is pretty, great for football. I mean, you're not going to get the cold, you're not going to get the rain. You're going to have the skills are going to come first and foremost in any time you're playing in a dome.
So I've actually never been to a domed game. Travis, I know you're from obviously a Texans fan. I don't know if you've been to the Texans Stadium. Is it hotter or colder in there?
I think it kind of varies with the temperature outside, but I think that the Texans Stadium NRG is having some issues from Hurricane Beryl. So it is hotter in there right now. So I think that's one of the issues that's been going around Houston area.
Interesting. So the outside weather still would affect how the temperature feels inside the dome?
Especially for us with Hurricane Beryl, I think the roof sustained some damages, and then the HVAC units and stuff like that. So it's, from my understanding, it's not cooling properly right now. But a dome atmosphere is where I prefer to really watch a game, unless it's Lambeau Stadium. Like, that was the most memorable experience of my life. So,
you were at the Jets game last year, right? Would you say NRG is better than MetLife?
They're both on par. I mean, NRG is pretty nice.
I know when we were out at the Broncos game, I was absolutely just roasting in the sun there. So a dome wouldn't have been a bad play for me as the Canadian kid up north here. That the heat really beats on me as opposed to you're probably a lot more used to it than I am, Trev.
Well, even that Jets game that we went to in Denver, like the sun was just beaming down on us in the seats. My bald head can't take it.
Nice. Well, we wrapped up the draft, 15 rounds in the 12-team sleeper draft. So again, thank you guys for joining and being a part of it. I'm looking at your team, and it's solid. You got everything you need. You got a good stash of running backs, good stash of wide rights. You got the backup quarterback, Kyle Pitts, as long as he's ripping. You actually have a very, very good-looking team there, Michael.
Thank you. This is the years and years of football knowledge of just watching Red Zone here.
Nice. And then we go over to Smavis. Obviously, I think your top three are massive. Personally, I feel like maybe could have used another running back in the mix there myself, but another solid team. Three quarterbacks. I just did that in my league, so I can't say much about it, but I would have maybe liked to see you have another running back, but a solid top 5, 6, 7 picks there.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for hosting this, man. This was fun, man. I haven't spoken football like this for an hour straight in a long time, and
and I know throughout the season, I'll be trying to do a show every week and kind of updating people on what's going on in the tournament and things like that. And one of the layers we have this year, and we're just updating the website, so that's why I haven't pulled my site up. But what we're going to have going on is each community, as we did, you guys just did your draft there. There'll be prizes for top 3 in the community. I know there'll be some VSP mini hoops going out to some people and some different tokens. I know Talton too had donated some NFTs to me in the past that I'll be giving out. And then every week we're actually going to have a high score. So the highest score in the tournament will be given a prize away every week to that. But what's going to be happening is there's 6 different communities in the tournament. So 1 week you guys might be playing us in the Bushleague community. The next week you'll be playing Shredding Sassy. And what I'm going to do is every week I'm going to take all 12 scores from each league, combine them. That'll be the team score, and say that you'll get a win or loss for the community every week. And then at the end of the season, we'll go into playoffs. Top 2 will get a bye. The other guys will battle it out and work our way to the finals, where there will be one community who's crowned the greatest, fantasy football community in Web3. And again, shouts to all the communities involved for donating all the prizes. But that community is going to basically be onboarded onto all the others, because the idea of it is either you come in, you win, and if you lose, well, you don't really lose, you're going to onboard a whole nother community to your project. I know you guys, Shredding Sassy, we got Not Okay Bears, Bam Bam's Fitness, which is our fitness company, as well as our project, are all involved in that this year, and AccuTars as well, Mika Johnson's project. And so everybody's donated 10 or 12 digital memberships. And so the winning community is going to get a haul. Like everybody's going to get 5, 6 NFTs on top of whatever prizes they win, and hopefully enter this community. So say VSP doesn't win. Well, if Shredding Sassy wins, hopefully they all get to partake in your guys' ecosystem the next year. And over time, a big goal of mine is to really cross-promote businesses, cross-promote projects, and turn this into hopefully a really, really big tournament between, hopefully 20, 30 different projects one day. So again, I really appreciate you guys having it in the VSP reward shop this year and partaking. And I look forward to a fun season with everybody.
For sure, man. Loving the improvement year over year. This was a great stream. Going to be keeping close tabs on it. We'll see who takes home the trophy. It's going to be exciting. We'll make sure we keep up the activity, make sure everyone's setting their lineups, obviously, keeping track of the bye weeks. I know that's a big one, and the injuries, of course.
Yep, bye weeks are huge. And I'm going to give a special shout out to Big E. Go check out him on Instagram. It's SE_collects. Big E donated a signed Tyreek Hill jersey to the tournament. So in the final week 17, the highest scoring team in week 17, or not team, the highest scoring player in week 17 is going to take that home as well. So please go check out what he's doing. He's pretty into sports collectibles and stuff as well. And a big thank you again to everybody who donated prizes or participated. I appreciate it a ton.
Shout out Big E. Evan's the man.
Cool. Thank you guys for joining. And that barcode is now right above your head there, Michael. Anybody go scan that if you're watching the stream back. Yeah, I always do it. I'm always confused because it crosses my mirrors. But scan that. It'll take you right over to the VSP Rewards website, and you can sign up, become a member today. No reason not to. I know season 2 is live right now. So you buy any piece of merch, you're going to get points and be allowed to partake in future raffles.
Awesome. Thank you so much, TKB. Appreciate it. He said all the stuff. I don't got to plug anything else there.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining. And I guess we'll catch you in a couple of weeks when football kicks off. What is it, September 4th or 5th? That's kickoff. I know we're all looking forward to it. And then the fantasy degeneracy begins. And it's my favorite time of year. And it's like a really good way to keep in touch with your buddies too. Like I find that during fantasy football season, maybe don't talk to some of my friends as much. And once fantasy football season, we annoy the piss out of each other. Everybody's wives are like, why are you guys texting each other so much? But it brings the camaraderie out. And so I really appreciate playing it and having you guys involved.
Bart Scott said it best. Can't wait.
Right on. Well, thank you. And we'll catch you guys in the future.
See ya. Thanks so much.
Cool. Thank you to everybody who tuned in, joined. Again, thank you to VSP and the VSP community for joining us in this draft. Really look forward to everything we're going to do this year. Going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you guys are tuning in every week. We're going to have all kinds of different things going on. Even during the streams, we will probably have prizes. I might be giving away some cards. One other thing I forgot to mention too is, again, I got it at VCon, but I got an Aiden Hutchinson rookie card. He's a Vayner Sports athlete, and the highest scoring member of Team VSP, the draft we just did, is going to take that home at the end of the year as well. But I want to just give a big thank you to everybody who tuned in, watched, or partook, and can't wait to see who comes out the winner this year. So I really look forward to that and can't wait to have a little fun this year. So until next time, stay Bushleague, you beauties. Take care.
From the bottom, ain't no half stepping. I'm the dog, I made it through so they don't ask questions. Long Beach, and it ain't no half repping. Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions. From the bottom, ain't no half stepping. I'm the dog, I made it through so they don't ask questions. Long Beach, and it ain't no half repping. Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions. Tell them never question, dog, I'm sitting ghost status. Eating chicken with my gin, smoking on some cabbage. Used to pedal on this
moment where you skate down the street and some shit for brains yells out of the window, do a kickflip! Do a kickflip! Do a kickflip!
And house shoes, they know how the dog do. Skinny.